Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and I've got two topics to cover in this latest Moon Lambo hot jam. A Ripple employee breaks down in a very short thread why XRP is absolutely going to dominate any sort of bank coins that get out there. And it's really enjoyable hearing this information from an individual. Again, he happens to work at Ripple, but so knowledgeable in terms of XRP's use case specifically as a bridge currency, as well as the underlying technology. Like he genuinely very well gets the pain points that are, to me anyway, at least quite apparent within the correspondent banking system. And I think the typical person doesn't know that. And look, before I jumped into crypto and started researching XRP, I didn't either. In fact, I didn't even know how to define the word remittance. It's like, oh, that's a word I've heard. I didn't know how to define correspondent banking system, which makes sense. And I think most of you probably didn't know how to define that either before you jumped into the space. I mean, unless you have a background in that, but if that's not your field of work, you might think, okay, yeah, the word remittance, how is that defined exactly? How do you use that in a sentence? So there's a lot to learn, suffice it to say, when you jump into crypto. So anyway, I want to run through that. And then I've also got this piece from AMB Crypto titled, XRP Lawsuit. Will the SEC taking on its own commissioner's statements backfire? So plenty to talk about here. But before I go any further, I do want to be clear that I don't have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who makes YouTube videos purely as a hobby. I just think it's fun to talk about these topics, but no, definitely not some sort of guru. I am not. I'm just a dude on the internet. I'm just like you. I just happen to run a YouTube channel. That's it. All right. And I appreciate the support. So thank you everybody out there for listening. So here's a tweet from an XRP community member named Jack the Rippler. And he wrote the following. After the SEC case, XRP will reach $10 to $50. All RippleNet customers will use XRP to settle money between countries. The ripple effect will be like a tsunami. After that, XRP will explode to $100 to $1,000. Utility will drive the price to the stratosphere. Prepare. And so, look, I'm just going to say a few things about the price. First of all, I've never made a price prediction, and I'm never going to because it would just be disingenuous. I'm not even a chart analyst. I appreciate the analysts out there that are willing to regularly put their neck on the line talking about their expectations for the market, and they get beat up worse than anybody. Like, yes, YouTubers get beat up, even not just in crypto. You run a YouTube channel, you better have a thick skin no matter what you're talking about. So yes, YouTubers get beat up a little bit, and I'm not bitching about that. It's fine. But I am saying that the chart analysts out there, my gosh, some of the venom against them, I'm like, damn, just take a chill pill, brah. Like, it's a little intense here. So look, as far as XRP hitting $10 to $50, I don't know what's going to happen. For this market cycle, that range doesn't sound wacky. Now, the closer you are to 10, the more confident I am that perhaps it's going to happen. But yeah, $10, even just based on how high Bitcoin's gone and Ethereum's gone this market cycle, yeah, that doesn't sound wacky. It really does, even for this market cycle. Now, as far as getting towards that upper end, $50, less confident in that. But if, and this is a big if Bitcoin goes on an absolute tear beyond what most analysts think is reasonable, then sure. Yeah, I mean, because the rest of the market's going to follow in suit, right? The market moves in tandem. So, okay, I'm not going to rule that out this market cycle, but gosh, to be honest with you, I don't find it likely. I'm not saying it's impossible, but if I had to guess right now, I'd say probably not. That's just my for fun speculative guess, not a prediction. I'm just saying I don't think so. Not that it couldn't hit that in the future. But then as far as this bigger price prediction, after the world starts utilizing XRP to settle everything. Well, first of all, I mean, and he didn't say it quite like that, but I don't think XRP is going to be used for 100% of settlement. Assuming it does genuinely continue to get adopted, the idea of XRP price exploding based on utility, well, look, the price is still derived from people speculating within the market. That's always going to be the case, by the way. It will always be humans. Even if you're talking about Ripple's algorithm, it's an on-demand liquidity, it's an efficient path-seeking algorithm, it's still within parameters that are set by humans. And so, yeah, you're right. In terms of the buying and selling, the behavior would be different from your typical retail speculator, but still within parameters set by humans. So it's always going to be humans that decide what the price of XRP is. And so it's people going in to diversify this and that drives price. But as far as utility, like yes, if something's useful, I think more money will flow to where something's useful. But I don't think that X amount of increase results in Y extra amount of money in terms of like what XRP is worth. I don't think it quite works like that. I think it's more like, ooh, this is useful, and then people that want to jump into the space are going to see that and then throw money in. That seems much more rational. And because that's how people are already investing. This is what people are doing. There's nothing mechanical about the operation of on-demand liquidity specifically that would make this type of explosion happen. In fact, again, you're talking about an algorithm, and it doesn't get emotional and bid higher. Like, it's looking for cheap prices, and whatever is cheap, like that's where the money's going to flow in on-demand liquidity. That's what you're talking about. So it will not be the same. So that, and I'll just stop there. I could make a whole separate video where I'm just talking about the implications of XRP in a world where on-demand liquidity is widely adopted, which is an interesting and fun conversation. I've been talking about it on and off for years now. Very interesting here. So, but this idea, I want to say this before moving on. The idea of $100 to $1,000 XRP. Well, look, if you're talking about $1,000 XRP, understand you are talking about a $46 trillion market cap for XRP. Now, the argument of market cap too high is a bad argument because it doesn't mean $46 trillion flowed in. We don't know how much money would have flowed in, but because the price gets bid up so quickly in crypto, and it happens with in the stock market also. Whatever the market cap is for the stock market, the amount of money that actually flowed in is way, way less than that. It's just the prices get bid up. And so it's not the case that if there's a $46 trillion market cap, that much money flowed in. Now, is that ever going to happen? That would be wild, and it could take decades to get there if it happens. I'm not going to say it's impossible. I don't know if it's probable, and that's not me saying it's not. It's me saying literally, I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to have a widely adopted XRP, very widely adopted XRP. There's enough money on the planet to make that happen. If people actually value it sufficiently, yes, there's enough money on the planet for that to happen. Because look, there can absolutely be individual cryptocurrencies that do have market caps in the tens of trillions, and Bitcoin might end up being one of them. That's not impossible. Hell, you got gold worth, I don't know what it is today, $9-10 trillion, whatever the hell it is. Yes, it's possible to have assets that are that get to that type of level. Yes, it's absolutely possible. Now, but if you're talking about that $100 to $1,000 XRP, definitely not this market cycle, not anytime soon, frankly. It would take a long, I don't know what it would be, but a very, very, very long time. And so if anybody's feeding you a pipe dream of that happening this market cycle, no. And that's not what he's doing. So to be clear, like, I'm not trying to be super critical of Jack the Rippler here. I'm just sharing my thoughts on this because I think it's fun to talk about this. Perfectly fine, and people don't even have to agree with me. Of course, I don't get offended if people don't agree with me on my thoughts about crypto and XRP and Ripple on it, so it's perfectly fine here. But I just want to be clear, like, this is not me being aggressive or whatever. I don't think it would have been taken like that, but just in case, I just wanted to mention that. And so anyway, that tweet from Jack the Rippler got retweeted by this guy, Dick Whitman Capital, and he just retweeted it and just a little facepalm emoji, clearly not having it here. Clearly not having it. And so then somebody named Ouroboros responded to that and wrote, how is it that they don't consider that any central bank will take their central bank digital currency / proprietary coin and move it to a closed and centralized blockchain like JP Morgan have already done? XRP was a crowd-funded project to flog the banks, and holders are going to be left with a useless token. No, this is not true. And so asking that question, ask the question, fine. But it's an indication that you do not understand the pain points within the correspondent banking system. I don't think you understand how it works, and I don't think you understand the pain points, which I will be talking about. But let me move a little bit further. This is where Matt Hamilton jumps in. Matt Hamilton is a Ripple employee, and he wrote the following. I'm not going to comment on the price predictions, but the idea that Bank A will use Bank B's stablecoin is just naive. The point of XRP is that it could be used as a neutral bridge between central bank digital currencies. And that is exactly true. And so then this Whitman Capital guy wrote, but the idea that Bank A will use Bank B stablecoin is just naive? Why is that naive? And then Matt Hamilton responded, because banks are not going to bag hold their competitor's coin. Exactly. And so here's what you need to understand. You're recreating the same friction that exists today if that happens, except for worse, because it's not in terms of a fiat currency. It's in terms of a coin that, if anything, like if you're worried about like even a third world countries that whatever their fiat currency is, this is worse. You're talking about a bank's coin and they're backing it, and it's based on whatever they're backing it with, and you want to hold that? That's even more risky. And so what you're talking about doing here is, because look, the way the system works right now is there's pre-funded accounts. You hold your money in your buddy's bank, or maybe overseas, and they hold their money in your bank. And it's not that physically money's moving back and forth, but you have a legal agreement that says, I have an asset you now hold, and vice versa. That's it. It's not that the money's physically moving across seas. It's that there's a legal agreement with legal implications if somebody decides that they're not going to play nice anymore. That's what it is. And so you're holding a different fiat currency in the bank. And that means that you've got dormant capital. It's not exactly fun. So if you're talking about instead using a competitor's bank coin, no, Pete. Oh, my dog's wrong. Come here, Pete. Come here, Speedy. Come here. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's fine. She must have heard something outside. And so it's okay. Sorry, guys. She doesn't normally do that, but yeah, it's okay, baby. She's under my desk now. Pete, stop it. She's crying. I don't know what she's hearing. But anyway, so with the coins, though, understand if you're talking about holding a bank's coin, you're not reducing friction. In fact, you're adding risk, because again, like I just cited, a bank coin is more risky typically than a fiat currency would be. Why would you think that this tiny bank, whatever, even if it's a big bank, it's still tiny compared to a fiat currency from a nation, right? And so you still have to have trust. And that's a problem. You haven't solved the problem of trust, and you've increased the risk. So it's actually a worse situation. But again, that's key. It's not just about the technology, it's about the trust implications. And this is what people miss that don't understand how the correspondent banking system works and what the pain points are. That's the problem. And so you're just recreating something today where instead of holding each other's fiat currency, you're holding each other's bank coins. Well, what the hell good does that do? Again, it's just more risky. It's doing the same thing. And so if you're talking about in a situation where there's two banks that aren't any intermediaries, you already can, if you're holding the other entity's funds, that actually can be a really quick transfer, frankly. Where you have the most pain is where there's a bunch of intermediaries in between. And so then Matt Hamilton wrote, because banks are not going to bag hold their competitor's coin. Now, Matt Hamilton is correct there. I don't think that they're going to recreate the same system except for add more risk. I don't think. I think that they'd be better off, and they'll recognize it, to just keep engaging within the legacy financial system and just have pre-funded accounts with traditional fiat currency. That would be better than adding that additional risk. And so this Whitman Capital guy responded with 4 points. He wrote, number one, banks already do this all the time. I'm going to pause there. No, they don't. Banks do not hold each other's. You could find outlier instances maybe that I happen to not be aware of. To be honest, like you talk about JP Morgan coin, this and that. Maybe some of these systems are live and I just am not completely up to date, in which case, okay, fine. But it's not widely adopted, even if so. So I would somewhat dispute that at a minimum. It's certainly not widely adopted, and you're talking about a closed system. And so, if they're, and even then, I don't know. It's not so much. Actually, now I think about it, that's no, this isn't happening, because it's not about banks holding separate coins. So even if these systems are live, it's within a closed system. So it's not about somebody holding that coin that isn't part of the closed system. So I don't believe that would be the case still. Number two, if it's a stable coin, there is no bag holding. Wait, what did he mean by that? Oh, I get it. Yeah. So if they're holding, so if a bank is holding a coin, then but there would be bag holding. You would have to hold it, because again, you're not just gonna move money throughout the financial system if there's not trust. And so what people do to try and build trust is they actually build relationships, and that's why you hold each other's money. And it's legally the case that you hold each other's money. That's it. Even though physically the money's not moving, that's why it happens. And so you would be bag holding. You'd be bag holding a coin, which is highly risky. Whereas with XRP, obviously, it's decentralized, so there's no trust issue there. Number three, you are assuming there isn't going to be one universally accepted stable coin. That's correct. There won't be just one. There won't be one coin to rule them all. Even with individual use cases for coins, there could be more than one. But yeah, in terms of an actual stable coin, no. That wouldn't make any sense. Number four, then why would they want to bag hold XRP? And so my answer to that, and then I'll get to Matt Hamilton's responses. I don't think that financial institutions necessarily will want to hold XRP, because one of the benefits is you can settle, like it solves the liquidity problem, but you actually don't have to hold it. You can just tap into the liquidity because people are buying and selling XRP on exchanges globally 24/7, 365, right? They are. So that is a benefit right there. Now, if some institutions, banks, whatever remittance companies, if they want to hold XRP and they feel sufficiently comfortable, and that means enduring the volatility and everything else, yes, in terms of transaction fees, yes, you can cut off the fees for one end of the transaction because you're already holding it. So you don't have to purchase it; you already have it, right? So there are benefits. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe some institutions would in the future, especially once things are less volatile. Maybe it's viewed as less risky once there's sufficient historical data. It's not impossible. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it's not impossible. Here's what Matt Hamilton responded. So on the issue of banks already do this all the time in terms of holding competitors' coins, Matt Hamilton actually wrote exactly, but I think what he meant, and I could be mistaken, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but since he said exactly, I think he was talking more so about just the pre-funding and of accounts, and yes, banks do that, but specifically with stable coins, bank coins, I'm not really seeing it. So again, happy to be proven wrong. If anybody's got some specific data, that's perfectly fine. I don't pretend to know everything, but I don't think that's the case. And I don't think that's what Matt Hamilton wrote, but I could be wrong. I admit that too. But anyway, Matt Hamilton wrote, exactly, the idea of cryptocurrencies is to remove power from banks and move away from a trusted model. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was talking about with XRP. Since it's not backed by a specific government or a bank, it's just worth what humans are willing to pay for it. And it's open and it's decentralized. You don't need trust. It resolves trust. All you have to trust is that cryptography works, basically, right? And then on his point of if it's a stable coin, there is no bag holding, Matt Hamilton simply wrote, yes, there is. And that's true. On his point of you are assuming there isn't going to be one universally accepted stablecoin, Matt Hamilton wrote, there is not going to be one universally accepted stablecoin. On his point of then why would they want to bag hold XRP, Matt Hamilton wrote, because XRP is more useful than some random foreign bank stablecoin. Amen. Ain't that the truth? Shout out to XRP Cryptable for sharing this next piece with me. It's from AMB Crypto titled XRP Lawsuit. Will the SEC taking on its own commissioner's statements backfire? I hope so. The feud between the United States SEC and San Francisco-based fintech firm Ripple Labs continues to show no signs of stalling. In their July 20th filing, the defendants urged the court to consider statements made by two of the agency's commissioners, Hester Peirce and Eli Roisman. These statements are supplemental authority in support of Ripple's opposition to the SEC's pending motion to strike Ripple's fair notice defense, the firm claimed. However, the SEC soon fired back by highlighting 5 reasons why the defendants' latest arguments shouldn't be allowed. And I actually broke that down in a separate video. But anyway, the individual defendants in the case, Garlinghouse and Larson, have now filed their own response. The two characterized the SEC's reply as going, quote, on to publicly rebuke these two commissioners' considered views, end quote, that there is no clarity. The development in question was first brought to the community's attention by attorney James Filan. That's a member of the XRP community. He shares all sorts of legal documents. It's amazing. He's a machine. Anyway, according to the two, despite the SEC's assertions, there is a decided lack of clarity for market participants around the applications of the securities laws to digital assets and their trading. With its response seemingly attacking the commissioner's statement, the SEC is gratuitously attempting to re-argue its meritless and flawed position, it added. The defendants also stated that the SEC failed to approve or support its aiding and abetting charges. These claims require that the defendants knew or were reckless in not concluding that XRP was a security as long as 8 years ago. However, quote, yet even today, 2 of the 5 commissioners of the agency acknowledge that questions and confusion persist in the marketplace, end quote. Oh, yes, indeed it does. And so the response also countered the SEC contending that charges against individual defendants should be decided based on the Howey test. And this was so in the Kik, Telegram, and NAC Foundation cases, the agency claimed in its own letter. However, according to Larson and Garlinghouse, quote, the Kik and Telegram cases did not involve any claims against individual defendants. and the NAC Foundation case did not involve claims of aiding and abetting under Section 15 of the Securities Act. Exactly, so it's substantially different, actually. And it's completely unprecedented to go after the executives, Brad and Chris, in a non-fraud case. This is unheard of. And the piece continues. So the fact that the SEC's arguments revolve around its own commissioner's statements highlights the untenability of the SEC's position, it concluded. And the crypto community was quick to acknowledge the said development, with attorney Jeremy Hogan tweeting the following. Although the statement by Commissioners Peirce and Roisman was a blessing for Ripple, it is even doubly so for the individual defendants, for which the SEC has to prove that they knew or recklessly disregarded securities laws. Expect to see the Ripple reply shortly. And we did ultimately see the Ripple reply. So yeah, this is ultimately all going to come back to bite them on the rear side, but they shouldn't have brought these claims against Ripple. It's completely nonsensical. But I'll go ahead and wrap up there. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.